So there are a few properties of addition with whole numbers we need to be aware of. So the first is closure. Closure just means that if I take two whole numbers and add them together, I'm going to get another whole number, and that whole number is actually going to be unique. So I'm only going to get ever one result when I add two numbers together. The closure property implies that the sum of two whole numbers exists and it's a unique whole number. So, for example, 5 plus 2 is the unique whole number 7, and 7 is a whole number, and that's the only result we'll ever get when we add 5 plus 2. Another property of whole numbers we need to talk about is the commutative property. Commutative property is where the order in which we add A and B together doesn't matter. I can add A plus B, or I can add B plus A, and it gives me the same thing. So we can illustrate this with a number line. If I start with the length 3 and then I add 5, that's 3 plus 5. Or if I add 5 and then 3, that gives me 5 plus 3, but these are the same two lengths. And then the associative property tells me about grouping. So if I had three whole numbers I was trying to add together, I could first add A plus B and then add C to that, or I could add B plus C first and then add A to that. The grouping order doesn't matter. And that's the associative property. I like to think of this property as like who associates with who, right? A and B are kind of associates here, and B and C are associates here, but the result gives us the same. And then the identity property is our last property. The identity basically tells me that there's something out there that exists that I can add to any whole number that's going to give me the same whole number back. And in addition with whole numbers, that number is 0. So 0 is the additive identity. Anything plus 0 gives me that number back. So 5 plus 0 is 0. A plus 0 is 0. 0 plus A is 0. So if we take a look at a few examples and try to identify what properties are going on, 6 plus 8 equals 8 plus 6. The order is changed of the way I wrote the problem. So this is the commutative property. Commutative, maybe think about commuting to and from work or school, right? I'm going from 6 to 8, or I'm going from 8 to 6. My commute's the same length though, so commutative property there. 1001 plus 834 is a unique whole number. That is coming from the closure property of addition. Then if I group together 3 plus 6 and then add 9, it should give me the same result as 6 plus 3 plus 9. At first glance, you might think that this is the associative property because we're adding 3 different numbers together. But what's actually happening here is we're just changing the order that we wrote 3 plus 6 and 6 plus 3. So this is again the commutative property of addition. And then here I have 8 plus 5 plus 2 equals 2 plus 8 plus 5. So if we look at that first part of the equality, we're changing the order of adding 8 plus 5 and 2. So that's a commutative property. But then if I switch my grouping to then add 2 plus 8 with 5, that's the associative property. So this is both the commutative property and the associative property.